Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's June 19th, 2021, and as always, and as promised, my partner is here with us.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're broadcasting live as we just put the air conditioning on here in the studio.
Oakland, New Jersey studio.
It's going to be a burner today.
It is. It's already a scorcher.
Not complaining, man.
Not compared to what they're going through out west. It's ridiculous, actually. Record-breaking temperatures out west. But listen, there is a ton of stuff to talk about, and that's why we're here. So, you know how our original segment is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York, and I just spoke to our sponsor who's doing well up there near the Finger Lakes, actually, upstate New York.
Very
Beautiful area up there, actually. So we move on, and I hand the mic over to Steve for his 2 minutes uninterrupted monologue.
This may take 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but it's regarding my monologue's going to be about the U.S. Open. Okay, obviously it's being played this weekend, and we know it's one of our favorite events across the the landscape of sports. But my monologue about the U.S. Open is, I think it's going to be very informative for a lot of people. So Ricky Fowler, for example, is outside the top 60, and he had to qualify to play the U.S. Open, as did guys like Chez Reavie, Charles Schwartzel, Jason Dufner, Brandon Grace, except Patrick Harrington. And guess what? They all failed to make them. The USGA, so 9,069 total players tried to qualify for the United States Open every year. There's local qualifiers at 108 sites across the country. 500 players advance from these local qualifiers to the final qualifying. There were 314 people like Ricky Fowler who received an exemption just to go play straight to the final qualifier. Only 66 of that make the final cut to play in the U.S. Open. Among the 9,069, 3,971 were professional and 5,098 were amateurs. Amateurs must have a handicap of a 1.4 index. Ages ranged from 13, the youngest, to 74, the oldest. In 1955, Jack Fleck qualified in Chicago and wind up winning the U.S. Open, beating Ben Hogan. In 1996, Steve Jones won his qualifier in a playoff and went on to win the United States Open. Michael Campbell had to qualify, and he beat Tiger Woods in 2015. Ricky Fowler won $225,000 for an 11th place finish at the Memorial, and Brandon Grace won $455,000. My point about this is, imagine the scene of you qualifying, and the Ferrari Testarossa pulls up, and he's got to qualify with you. Right? These guys are wearing shorts, they're carrying their college bags, and you got these old-time pros. I think it is awesome. I think that's why it's called the United States Open, and the depth. And my point is, you cannot say that the U.S. Open doesn't give everybody a fair chance to qualify. That's why I love the U.S. Open.
Good call. Very nice, actually. And that's right. This is the USGA Open Championship of this country, and you got PGA pros from all over, and listen, it's a very tough thing to get into, but right, when a club pro or an amateur can get in before a Ricky Fowler or something, you got to wonder, is that right? But those are the rules, and in golf, you follow the rules.
Because it's
the guys like Chez Reavie aren't going to win it and so forth, but who do you have? Who got a free pass in this Open? Phil Mickelson, right? So
well, he didn't, because he won last week. He won the PGA.
That still wasn't going to qualify.
No, he needed an exemption to get into the PGA, right? But because he became another major winner, I guarantee you that gave him an exemption. But I know what you're saying.
And today is what they call
moving day.
Moving day. And listen, it's a great story we got going on. Richard Bland, tied with Russell Henley, right?
He's very bland, Richard.
But they were, we should have given our picks last week, but we didn't. But I texted one of our listeners.
My pick would have been Brooks again.
Brooks was my guy, and Morikawa was my second guy, and they both had kind of rough days yesterday.
Well, Brooks is at even. He's still lurking.
Yep.
I gotta think this Louis Oosthuizen is on steroids or something. I'm kidding.
What? But he's always there.
That's
right?
why. That's my point, right? All he does is play golf.
All he does is come in second place.
Well, he's a major champion, obviously.
I like him. He's classy.
Love him.
and-
He's the size of a beer can.
Exactly.
But I give him credit because he's always lurking, man.
He is. So listen, you got the whole Koepka DeChambeau thing going on. John Rahm hit a great bunker shot yesterday. He's going to be there. So we'll know a little bit more about the U.S. Open after today, of course. But.
Right, but the names up there are not kind of the names, we anticipated. You got to give Russell Henley credit.
Right.
The first 2 rounds, he's right there,
Yeah. Here's a guy that I actually like, but he fell apart yesterday. Was this Rafa Cabello Bella or something, whatever, Italian guy?
Right.
Spanish guy. But I saw an interview with him. He was so grateful to be there. And I wanted to bring this up because now you got these drone cameras. So the footage of that golf course, only Pebble Beach, from a scenic perspective, is as beautiful as Torrey Pines.
I agree.
Isn't it? And
Sure.
I actually played that golf course. I mean, I got eaten for lunch, of course, but awesome with the paragliders in the background, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
But the guys, listen, Justin Thomas, he's still hanging around, kind of thing. Spieth's not hanging around. My sleeper was Tommy Fleetwood, but I think he started off like a house on fire, and then he fell into the.
Yeah, it's fun. The good backstory is the Molinari brothers, Eduardo and Francesco.
Yeah.
And they haven't seen each other in like over a year due to the COVID thing, and they both played a couple good rounds so far, and but Molinari's a major champ.
Yeah, Francisco's been eating a lot of pasta lately. Boy.
Yeah.
He was always lean and mean. He's
Italian.
got to lay off the carbs, I think. Right?
Pasta carbonara.
But listen, before we move off the U.S. Open, there was one interesting fact, and we've been looking at this because Mickelson was 50 when he won the PGA and so forth. So Richard Bland is 48 years old.
Never heard of him.
Right?
I never heard of him.
But there was an interesting fact out of the all-time golfers to win majors after the age of 34. Who would you say is number one?
Jack.
Number 2, Ben Hogan with 9 wins after the age of 34.
Yeah, but that's after the accident too.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what makes it so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But
No
it's
question.
beautiful. Torrey Pines is outstanding.
Yeah.
And listen, it's always the bonus on Father's Day, and a happy Father's Day out there to all
Yeah.
of our listeners.
It's even better because it's in California, and it'll go on till 8:30 or
Yep.
something, 9 o'clock.
It'll take the whole day.
Loving every minute of it.
You better believe it.
Chief, would you believe?
Good Get Smart reference, by the way. Anyway, so let's move on. The NBA, there's been some moving and shaking in these playoffs, and I got to say,
Philadelphia.
Sixers have been hanging in there.
Yeah, what do you mean hanging in there? I mean, they.
Because Doc Rivers, I give him the credit.
Yeah, but listen, if Philadelphia lost last night, which they didn't, Ben Simmons would have been shuffled out of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I said, obviously, this guy's a super talented basketball player, but it's so uncanny how he can miss 10 free throws the other night.
I know.
I mean, it's uncanny.
It drives me crazy.
I mean, I don't know. It's equivalent of the yips in baseball, where Steve Sachs couldn't throw, or
Chuck Knobloch.
Chuck Knobloch, and
Right.
Mackie Sasser, they couldn't throw a baseball.
Or Jim Monahan.
Nah, but Philadelphia had to win because they would have blown up that team. The Nets and Bucks, Game 7.
I saw that injury to Kyrie Irving is a real deal, and I'm telling you, I've had that. You come down on somebody's thing, you roll that leg. So he's going to miss Game 7. You're right, but I'm still liking the Nets to go all the way.
Right, but you have to talk about Kevin Durant during the week, the 49 points.
He's awesome.
He played every minute of the game.
He's awesome.
And it goes down as one of the best individual basketball performances I've seen.
And we've known that he is awesome, but we don't watch it regularly like we have in the playoffs. But this guy really steps up. He's awesome. He's great.
Well, yeah, of the big three, he's the best.
Right. But there's some other surprises going on. Like I said, I think the Nets are still going to take care of business. But how about the Clippers?
Yeah.
Right? Without their number one guy. And
I gotta tell you, I'm so disappointed in Utah. I just can't. I thought this year their
history,
team,
right?
I thought their team was good enough to make the finals. But going forward, I can't put any stock in Utah. I just can't.
You can't anymore.
I can't.
They're out.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, and
they had a really good season.
But there's somebody I want to give credit to who I've been kind of, not bashing, just saying I don't think he deserves that kind of max contract. Paul George. He's played pretty good in this series.
But he's supposed to.
Exactly, but I didn't think he could. That's the point,
Yeah.
And without Kawhi, come on, it looked pretty daunting for the Clippers.
It did.
It really did.
It did.
So it's going to be the Clippers' Suns, right?
Clippers' Suns. And Chris Paul got, we don't know his status with the COVID.
He'll be back.
I would hope so.
He'll be back.
But that should be a good series.
Yeah, but hey, listen, give the Hawks credit, man. They're hanging around, and they could easily take Game 7 against Philadelphia. They could easily do that.
Listen,
as a matter of fact, I'm going to say they will, in fact, do that. I think this kid Trae Young is awesome.
Listen, they got a good foundation for next year. Trae Young is the centerpiece of the Hawks, and
but your Boston Celtics,
they had a very good playoff run.
Your Boston Celtics made a big trade yesterday, trading Kemba and a number one for Al Horford.
Al Horford and this.
Is this Brad Stevens trying to make his mark and
his
shake
name's
things
Moses
up?
Brown, I think, is the center.
Who?
Nah,
come on, who?
I know. I mean, who now? But Brad Stevens is no idiot. Brad Stevens. If he wanted this guy, and obviously, listen, Al Horford's 35, but Al Horford is a great team guy.
But you're right,
played with the Celtics along. Listen, obviously they wanted this Moses kid, and Brad Stevens is no idiot. Yep. So now the Celtics, I immediately thought,
you don't think that was a heavy price?
No.
A number one?
No,
for Al Horford.
Al was part of the deal. They want this young center, this Moses kid. Well, when Rick Carlisle tendered his resignation, I automatically assumed right to Boston. But it sounds like...
that sounds like maybe a possibility.
I thought of that immediately, but I'm thinking Brad Stevens has a guy in mind. And I think it's going to be a name that that's not on our radar.
Well, listen, there's 6-7 job openings in the NBA right now, so you're right.
But back to Brad Stevens, this guy knows his stuff.
Okay.
And listen, this is new to him being in the front office, but he's a smart guy.
But the Celtics usually,
and he's going to follow his
like they did
plan.
with Ainge. They gave him carte blanche to do what he thought was the right thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have Red Auerbach, down the hall in his office.
Chomping on his cigar.
Yeah, but, the front office is Brad Stevens, and Boston...
So listen, I must say the NBA's been pretty good. I actually might flip around and catch some of the Nets game tonight.
Yeah.
But what we've seen in this, the Jazz were up by 25 points in the third quarter last night, and the Clippers came back.
Right.
So you never know. And the Nets were down by that many by...
the Sixers were up 26 against the Hawks and blew it.
If you want to win the championship, you got to close the deal, right? And that's... But you're right, that performance by Durant was pretty good, actually. Listen, one thing I wanted to bring up before we move off the NBA, and again, LeBron James is the commissioner, he's the president, he runs the league. But saying that all of these injuries are based upon, the short season, starting early and so forth, that wasn't the time and place for it. I mean, but it
Not
resonates.
only is he
No.
the commissioner, he's also a doctor. A lot of people don't know that he went to medical school his first 10 years in the league.
But I just thought saying, these injuries are due to that's outrageous because 99% of the guys, Kyrie Irving coming down on Giannis's foot is a freak. Nothing to do with it.
Who cares?
But
I don't even know-
everybody in the NBA cares. That's my point.
I don't even know why you care and you even bring it up.
Because I thought
I
was
know
like,
I don't care.
we're in the midst of the semifinals, and he's got to get. He can't stay out of the
I
limelight.
could care
That's it.
less what LeBron James has to say.
But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. It's not due to the shortened season. Coming down on somebody's ankle and twisting it, that happens. So let's move on to the National Hockey League, which you and I love. And playoff hockey is unbelievable down to the Final Four.
Correct.
And it has not disappointed. This Tampa Bay...
Why would it?
This Islander... Tampa Bay Lightning series is a war. And we talk about
It's
it.
been very physical.
Oh my goodness, it's awesome. You got some great players on that, and yeah, a lot of people could say the Islanders are overachieving because they don't have that one marquee guy, and Anders Lee's not playing, and they're still there. But you know what? I got two words of the reason why I think the Islanders are still there. Barry Trotz. I just think he's the best coach in hockey, and I think it's unbelievable how they rally around this guy and do what he says. Look, they're down 2-1, but this series is not over.
Tampa's winning the series. They have Nikita Kucherov is back. This guy is
Made some unbelievable saves last week.
this guy's unbelievable.
Yes. Going to win the Vezina.
No, Kucherov is the playmaker.
Oh, no, I'm talking Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
The goalie.
But this guy,
Yep.
that's the difference. Is Anders Lee, obviously the Islanders are missing, but the Islanders don't have a Nikita Kucherov. They don't have a Connor McDavid.
That
They
was
don't
my
have
point. That's right.
Austin Matthews.
But
right?
they got a whole
But they
team
got
of
grit.
guys.
They got grit and everything else. And remember, the Islanders in Tampa played this series last year, and Tampa won.
Yep.
I think Tampa's got this nucleus that for another. I think they're going to win it now. I think they.
I'm going with the Islanders.
I think Tampa's going to win back-to-back cups, and I think it's because they have that talent for this year, perhaps next year, and then poof, it's going to be gone. But I think Tampa's just too talented.
But playoff hockey is so awesome.
Yeah,
And I'm going to say right now, I'm going with the Islanders against the Vegas Golden Knights, who, by the way, are down 2-1. They lost last night to Montreal. It's not the Montreal Canadian team we're accustomed to seeing in the 70s and the 80s. They've overachieved. They've the lowest number of points to make the playoffs, but they're hanging in there, and that's not over. But my early prediction, I'm saying the Islanders rally, beat Tampa Bay, and the Vegas Golden Knights rally and beat the Canadiens.
I think Vegas will rally and beat the Canadians, and I'm going to go with Vegas-Tampa final, and I'm going to take Tampa in 6 or 7. I think Tampa's going to win back-to-back cups.
But it's going to be a battle every night.
Wow,
if you
there's no
guys aren't
question.
really into hockey, get into hockey
This is
and
the
watch
time
this.
to watch it.
And you'll never go back. So we'll see how that goes. Let's move on to Major League Baseball. And I know there's a topic that Steve just won't let go, is this spider tack issue. I don't think it's an issue, but Major League Baseball is going to enforce. So they're going to give you a pat down on the mound and see if you got a goop, a glob somewhere hidden under your hat. I just don't think it's an issue.
It's an issue. Why is it an issue? Because Major League Baseball just enacted rules in mid-season. That's why it's an issue. And
It's not a garbage can issue, though.
Well, trust me, this is a big issue for Garrett Cole and other pitchers that's been using it. But I got to say, I called Jim Walsh this week, one of our loyal listeners, and we talked about it. I saw this press conference with Tyler Glasnow, who is the 6'8" pitcher on Tampa, who's really good, and he got hurt, okay? And I swear to God, I was driving to work, and I'm listening to this interview, but I don't know who it is. And I'm praying to God to myself, tell me this isn't Garrett Cole speaking. It was my first reaction.
No, it was
my
Glass.
second reaction, it was Glasnow. And then hearing Glasnow now blame, I couldn't use spider tackle, and that's why I got hurt. I almost puked out the side of my car.
I don't even know how to
that is
respond
such
to that.
nonsense.
Of course it is.
Because the counterbalance to that, thank God, on ESPN is they put Tom Glavine on. And Tom Glavine, the voice of reason, Hall of Fame pitcher, 300-plus wins.
Unbelievable
Tom
pitcher.
Glavine's like, listen, I understand what Glasnow's saying where, the grip of the baseball, etc. He goes, we're pitchers. He goes, I don't know what he's talking about, the fact that you can't grip a baseball and you got hurt. I don't see the correlation there. Tom Glavine used to talk about in this interview, was like, hey, Tom Glavine was a really good hockey player, grew up in Massachusetts.
He was, yeah.
So he talked about, when it was freezing cold, trying to get a grip on the ball. He could never do it. He talked about when being in Atlanta, hot, steamy, 105.
Ball slipping out of your hand.
Completely sweaty. He goes, there's a rosin bag in the back of the mound. Yeah. He goes, that's the elements. You got to deal with it. So,
all right.
Again,
I just want this.
Garrett Cole is now under
a microscope.
Yeah.
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 And look, see, he's pitched twice since he's been under the microscope. He's still one of the best pitchers behind DeGrom.
Correct.
That's all.
Correct. But it's...
and listen, before we move...
We'll see how this plays out, but it's an issue.
But Steve, before we even move off, because when Jacob DeGrom is on, I want to watch it.
Yeah, that's must-see TV.
And I watched he faced 9 batters and struck out 8 of them.
Right.
But they got to shut this guy down for a while. He's starting to get these aches and pains a little too often. He's only pitched 3 innings in the past 2 starts.
His MRI came back clean. They get back at there.
I think if it's smart, they sit him down. The Mets got a comfortable lead in the National League East. I mean, they can afford to sit him down. But he's having some, every time he's got this soreness, that could be a problem. And of course it's a problem when you throw 100 miles an hour, more than any other pitcher in baseball, right? He's awesome, though. But he faced 9 guys, struck out 8, and then had to hit the showers.
Listen, obviously they should for a start or 2. And
that's all.
And then he comes back.
That's all.
And he's going to win the MVP. There's no question.
And you're right. I keep looking at his career statistics, and he's only got like 75 or so wins. And you actually brought this up a few weeks ago. He will be the first pitcher or the pitcher who gets nominated to the Hall of Fame with the fewest amount of wins. That's how dominant this guy is.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Which is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? Because the eye test is... You're watching greatness.
Yep.
And again, we say it 1,000 times. What is our Hall of Fame criteria? Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So
with 75 wins.
There's no debate on it. There's no debate on it.
If they scored runs for him, he'd probably have 107 wins now, but they don't score runs for him usually.
Right.
He's great.
He is
great. But I just worry about how long can you throw 100 miles an hour?
Not very.
We know that.
Except Nolan Ryan.
Yeah. That was kind of a freak of nature. He was dominant. He was huge and just was powerful. He had Lou Gehrig legs pitching on the mound.
Yeah, and he could throw
60 feet, 6 inches.
Yeah, and he could throw 100 miles an hour at age 43.
He sure could. He sure could. So listen, let's just touch base on the NFL because we had, mandatory training camp. Everybody get to know who's going to be on your team, so forth. Nothing changed, right? Rodgers still holding out. But I thought the funniest thing was like Le'Veon Bell saying, I won't play for Andy Reid again. I started laughing.
Yeah.
Because we go back 3 years when he held out for the Steelers. He's never going to be the player that he once was. He's been a horror show wherever he's gone. And he's bashing, the Kansas City Chiefs. Good luck getting a job anywhere.
I did the same thing. I actually laughed out loud. What am I supposed to say?
I think it was Andy Reid saying, you'll never play for me again.
No, I think an assistant coach at Kansas City walked into Andy's office and said, you got to read this one.
I don't think he's coming back.
I'm sure they had a good chuckle around the water cooler.
Right.
Holy Christ.
But listen.
But Andy wished him well. Andy's statement was he did enjoy coaching him, and
He did.
he thanked him for his
great locker room presence, all that kind of stuff.
I hope Le'Veon, lands on his feet.
Here's a
somewhere.
guy that could have, if he just stayed the course, he could have had a great career. He would have been a legend in Pittsburgh, and now he's just one of those guys.
Listen, I have to think Le'Veon didn't get his degree at Michigan State.
Whatever.
I'll have to look that up, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
But listen, that's a long ways away. I don't need to see guys working out and throwing passes.
No, actually, I'm rooting for it. Le'Veon Bell is the type of guy that
he's never going to be a pro.
No, I want him to blow all his money at age 36 and be indigent.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of going to the Hall of Fame in Canton.
Right. I want him to be that guy that blows all his money.
Yep.
Right. So enjoy it while you can, Le'Veon, because your window is closing.
It is. It's closed.
It's closed on this show, that's for sure.
But listen, before we move on, I wanted to say our next segment is sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
It is.
Week after week, they support our show, and we thank them very much. But I wanted to recap because the French Open, which was great, and there was some great matches. That was even my monologue that tennis doesn't get the attention I think it deserves. But you got to give credit to Novak. I told you I'm a little sour on his behavior, but he took advantage of it. He beat Nadal, and he had a great finals. But this kid's a stud. I mean, he's going to be around longer than Roger and longer than Nadal, who, by the way, announced he will not play Wimbledon and he will not be in the Olympics. That shows there's a little tire wear on the treads. You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't show. There is.
But he's awesome. But I got to give this guy Djokovic. He's going to go down as the most majors of all time.
No question.
Right?
And he's going to do it running away.
Yep.
To your point, Federer, I think you're finally admitting that it's over for him. I mean,
pains me to do it and say it, because I worship the guy. He was great. Classy, everything about him.
I don't know, the point about Roger Federer is you can make the case he's the greatest tennis player ever to play. Okay, so he's in that discussion.
But when you're talking about that exact phrase, the greatest of all time, we have the three guys right now playing at the same time that could actually lay claim to that.
Again, it's all era-based.
We get that.
People,
But this is the era we're living in.
The older generation say Rod Laver was the greatest thing they've ever seen.
Yep.
Which doesn't diminish that he was the greatest thing probably at that time.
Time.
Ken Rosewall,
We talked Stan Smith, who I neglected to bring up last week, by the way.
Right. And on and on.
In that triumvirate of players that have that era.
Pancho Gonzalez, for Christ's sake.
Ilya Nastasi. Roscoe Tanner. Right?
Totally.
Listen, but I
Milos from Seinfeld.
It ain't a $500 racket to beat Ethel Kennedy.
It ain't a $500 broom line to beat Ethel Kennedy.
But listen, the French was great, and Wimbledon's coming up, and that's awesome too. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Djokovic because he was down 2-0 in the finals, and he came back and he won it.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is I absolutely appreciate Djokovic's talent. I know he is, and I actually didn't dislike him for a long period of time.
Until lately.
But I can't go back now. I don't like him now.
I know. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys in sports that we don't like that are up in the top 2 or 3 of them.
Because Nadal and Federer, right, have hit the wall, right? He's going to have a period of 3-4 years where it's just going to be him, and he's just going to blow away the field.
Yep. But listen, I wanted to give a shout out also to one of our listeners, our resident soccer expert. And he thought it was kind of ironic that Steve took the monologue 2 weeks ago for soccer, right? That's not, let's say, our wheelhouse, although we know what's going on. But it was the Messi, Ronaldo, But the Euro 2021 tournament is awesome, and you can't deny Ronaldo. But I put it out to Diego Cruz, and I said, who would you start your team with, Messi or Ronaldo? And he's flat out said Messi. But I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Diego. No, but this, I mean, it's a flip of the coin type of thing.
It is.
Right?
It is.
It's like, are you going to draft Troy Aikman or Tony Mandarich?
Right. And you see
I'm
how
kidding.
history
I'm
plays
kidding,
out.
but the point is, these two guys, you can't go wrong. Ronaldo in the news with the tournament and his press conference,
Moving the Coke
bottles, and Coke stock took a big hit.
That's how
$4 billion worth of
That's
a big
how
hit.
influential this
Correct.
guy is.
Right.
And
Right.
He is awesome, but he steps up every single time. It's great to see.
Yeah.
But we covered it, but it's actually been pretty good. I
Yeah,
enjoy
but it's
watching
right down the middle, you know. And there's a couple guys that said Ronaldo that I asked, and a guy that I work with who loves soccer. And, you know, he was on his computer all week, you know, watching this.
it. Well, flat out, Mike Garvey.
He said Messi.
But flat out, Mike
guy I
Garvey
work
from,
with,
from
Frankie.
Naples, Florida, said Ronaldo, and I said, "Wow!" He goes, "I want a retraction." I go, "That's not monologues or
There'll be no
opinions."
retraction. This is an opinion big show.
But this is coming from guy, and we're not naive. I know a little bit about soccer. I used to go to Cosmo games. I used to see Pele play, so I know.
You
a little
don't know
bit
anything about soccer.
That's not true.
Oh, please.
That's not true. I could name most of the Cosmos teams back
What does
then.
that have to do with the strategy of the game?
But I have been watching Euro 2021.
Wow, you have.
It's exciting.
How did Slovakia do this week?
Or North Macedonia.
Yeah.
I go, I didn't even know there was a country
I didn't
called
even
North
know.
Macedonia.
Exactly.
And they were playing like Belgium or something. I was laughing. But that was an interesting thing. And please send us your comments at Sports with Mono. All our soccer fans out there, Sports with Mono and Mono at gmail.com. We'd love to hear your opinion.
There had to be some good hooliganism going on this week.
No, hooliganism's down.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah. There hasn't
Okay.
been any stampedes or
No, I
riots.
heard some. What
They're
was it?
saving that for the World Cup.
Oh, is it the Mexicans that are got fined for some
It happens.
some
It happens.
bad chanting?
So listen, I wanted to move on to one, and Steve and I, we make no secret about it. Our beloved St. Joe's of Montvale.
You better believe it.
And this was the first time since 1998 that a team has won both their league, the Bergen County Championship, and the state finals. And we talked about this kid, and I watched it. It was actually broadcast live on NJ.com last week. Sean Hard.
Yeah.
What?
He's from Mawa.
He is a lights out.
Wow,
He's given up 2 earned runs the entire season. And by the
And
way,
he's a hitter.
he hit .419 with 6 home runs and 32 runs batted in. And he's going to Boston College. But I wanted to give that shout out because they beat St. Augustine in the
4-1 in the
finals.
state final.
Yep.
And
What a year.
what
huh?
a year! What a year!
But great baseball in New Jersey and North Jersey too. A lot of good players. But this was a team for the ages for St. Joe's.
Yeah. And the College World Series starts this weekend.
It does.
And I used to coach in town, and the reason I'm bringing this up is Virginia is in the World Series. So Virginia has Devin Ortiz, is a St. Joe's alum, very good baseball player, pitcher. But there's a kid, Kyle Teal from Mawa. So I used to coach against Kyle when he was 8, 9, 10, and I knew at that,
And he's pitching for Virginia?
Nah, he plays right field. But he hit a grand slam as a freshman to beat Dallas Baptist to advance to the World Series.
Yeah, there's a name you don't hear in
And
the
he's a
College
freshman.
World Series. Also.
So Kyle Teal, watch this name. He's the cousin of Mike Teal, and the Teal family is,
Oh, the Don Bosco.
yeah,
Teals,
the
huh?
Teal, the Teals are very prominent in New Jersey. But I'm rooting for Virginia here.
But there was, with the College World Series, I had some feedback from one of our listeners in Arkansas who's a Diamond Hogs fan, right?
yeah.
Walt Hahn?
Yeah, they didn't make it.
No, they were the number 1 team
Yeah.
almost all year, and they got knocked out too.
They did by
But,
NC State, I think.
But the the winner of the Dick Hauser Award was Kyle Copps from Arkansas.
Okay.
And listen, when you think about college baseball right now, we know the big names, right? The kid Rocker and Jack Leiter
Yeah.
from Vanderbilt.
I was just going to bring that up. So Vanderbilt's there. So you have Kumar Rocker. You know who his father is?
Don't say John Rocker, the pitcher for the.
No, there's a different skin color there involved. Tracy Rocker.
Tracy Rocker. Name sounds familiar.
All-American defensive tackle from Auburn.
Oof.
So Kumar Rocker
Didn't get it.
was the star on the 2019. So they are still the defending champs.
Yep.
With a 1-2 punch with Jack Leiter, and those two are definitely going to be drafted in the top 3.
And you know,
Rocker will go first to the Pirates, and then Leiter, you know, he's
Yep.
definitely getting drafted. He's definitely
Son of Al.
son of Al,
Right.
but he's pretty good.
Yeah. No, but college baseball is very, very exciting. And I got to say, Virginia's in there. Every single time you see University of Virginia, they got the women's lacrosse or the softball. Their program
Oh, Virginia
is always
Always.
up there. And we
Always.
know about the basketball team and so
Always.
forth. But awesome program. Awesome program.
right. Bronco Mendenhall is the coach now at Virginia, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
Good name, Bronco Mendenhall.
From BYU, remember? And remember George Welsh was the head coach at Virginia football for 30 years at least. And
Then did he go to Army? Coach Army after that? No. Navy. George Welch.
George Welsh was a Navy guy,
guy,
then went
right.
to Virginia.
Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to shout out to St. Joe's. Congratulations to that
Absolutely.
team. Really, it was just a great achievement. And just,
Oh yeah,
and good luck to this kid Sean. You know, because he's really some ball player going to Boston College in the fall.
yeah.
Looking forward to it. So anyway, let's move on to our notable passing segments. And Steve, I don't know if it happened right after last show, but I don't think we mentioned Jim Mudcat Grant, first African American to win 20 games in the American League. I think Don Newcomb had it for the National League.
Don Newcomb did have it.
Right, but he had a pretty good career. Jim Mudcat Grant, actually. Look at his numbers. They
Right,
weren't
but we
bad.
also, you and I also made the joke that we thought Mudcat Grant was, 143
Exactly.
back in 1898.
Yeah, played in basically the 60s and, retired by 71, 72. But, hey, he had a great career,
Right.
man,
No, I think he actually said, who is that? His grandson that died at age 81?
Is that Mudcat Jr.?
Mudcat the Third?
Hey, listen, R.I.P., dude. You got a record that can't be broken.
No,
you know?
absolutely. One of the best baseball nicknames out there, too.
You bet. But listen, and this hits home to Steve and I because we like this guy. And this is from the world of entertainment, but we cover that too. Ned Beatty,
Ooh.
83.
Yeah.
Anything he did was awesome.
There's no question.
I mean, he literally was in network for 10 minutes and got an Academy Award nomination for that role.
Correct.
But that was Ned Beatty.
Right.
But none of us will ever forget the Deliverance role, which
Of
was
course.
his first movie.
Of course.
And a great, great movie, by the way.
The Father and Rudy.
But this guy always had work.
Oh.
Everything. I
Homicide-
wasn't a big fan of the Superman series. I thought it was ridiculous. I
Yeah.
prefer to watch the old show. But he was great, funny, and what an actor. And he had a great career.
Right. So he was the Father in Rudy. And one of the the best lines for me, I've seen it forever, is when he walks into Notre Dame Stadium and surveys it, and he just said, "This is the most beautiful sight these two eyes have ever seen."
Wow.
That to me, that's cool. He was the voice of the teddy bear in Toy Story 3, which is, to me, the worst of the three.
I got to say.
Big Toy Story fan.
That's not what
Toy
I'm-
Story 1 and 2 are rock.
But he was in. I saw he was in an episode of MASH. He was every television series.
He was
whatever.
a Homicide: Life on the Street is
Yep.
one of my all-time favorite shows, and he played Stan Bolander.
What a career! What a career!
No, when I heard Ned Beatty went, Yeah, he was in 1,000 movies. Had to be.
He was just all over the place.
And always had steady work.
You bet.
Well respected.
Oh, we love them. We love them. Another one from the world of entertainment, Frank Bonner.
Yes, just recently.
79 years old, most famously known for what role?
The only role.
He actually became a director and
I know.
was pals with Burt Reynolds. Actually directed some Evening Shade, which I've never seen, by the way.
Became pals because Bert and Lonnie were together.
But Herb Tarlick was his character on WKRP, and believe it or not, that show was funny.
No, a big fan of WKRP.
Yeah, he had an up and down career. Like he was almost killed in some sort of an accident.
He did he was like parasailing or something, and he fell like 30 feet and broke his back and stuff. Yeah. So he had whatever. But the guy lived to 79
and a good career.
Yeah, and that. R.I.P. And
but he'll always be Herb Tarlick.
That's the only thing we know him from.
I got to say, my favorite character besides Lonnie Anderson for the visual was Les Nessman. I mean, that was pretty funny. Man.
Oh yeah,
he was pretty funny. Frank Bonner, 79. R.I.P.
Yes.
But listen, thanks for joining us, everybody. And again, we would love to hear from you. Please send us comments at sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. And like I said, our audience is building, and we thank you for joining us every week.
Yes, thanks, everybody. Again, like Jim said, send us feedback, sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. And we will talk to you next week.
And all the fathers out there, enjoy your Father's Day. I know you'll be on the couch watching the U.S. Open.
I was just going to finish with that. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
You bet. And we'll be back here with you next week.
You got it.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Be good.